Hello, welcome to the video. This morning we've had a big family outing. We all went to the vets. Well, I say all. There was the 2 kittens and Bunty and Percy. Bonnie, the other spaniel, she stayed at home because she didn't need to go. And Bunty, turns out, has got a fungal infection on her lip, which is quite unpleasant. So she's got a cream. And Percy just needed one of his annual booster jab. And the kittens, that was our first trip to the vet with them, and they'd both developed a little bit of a cold, which was a bit of a worry. And so we took them there, and there was even a little bit of blood, and one of them had a slightly, a little bit of a nosebleed. And we took them there, and it turns out they both got cat flu. Poor little kittens. And so they're on antibiotics, and they had an injection with antibiotic and steroid, and we've got tablets to give them and paste, so they should be all right. But the poor little things, they had lesions on the tongue, which was making it hard for them to eat. So yeah, they've not had the best start. But once they're better, they will be living a life of luxury, hopefully. Anyway, they're happy enough now, and they're back home, and Percy's happy, and Bunty's happy, and our wallet is a little less happy than it was. But I'm back in the lean-to barn at the stables. Ta-da! So what I'm going to do is just behind me somewhere, I can't really see behind me, because I don't have eyes in the back of my head, is the electric fence energizer. And so there's an extension lead that we've brought in from the orangery. And so today I need to clip that to the wall, so make sure the horses can't ever take an interest, keep it out of their reach. And also we would like to have a light in here, because the winter months, as we're coming to now, it's a lot darker. So by the time we're feeding the horses on the night time, we're using head torches. So if we can get a light in here, that'll help a bit. I'm going to try and split that wire and put it into a socket so the electric fence energizer can plug in, and then there's a switch for that, and I'll also add another switch for a light, and then wire the light switch off that. So that's my plan for this afternoon. So I better get on with it. So I have plug socket with switch, and I have switch and a little light. This was the most reasonably priced light that could do the job in our local shop. So we'll see what this is like. If it's not good enough, then we'll have to find something a bit bigger and brighter. But yeah, it's quite cute. So I've just got to screw the light to the wall, but I wanted to test it before I did, and the light works. I don't know how bright that's going to be. I might be able to get a brighter bulb for that, but we have a light here, so that's brilliant. And we have a plug socket here, it turns the plug socket off. I put it on upside down, how it would normally go, because Jane's a little bit shorter than me, so it's easier for her to reach if the switch is at the bottom. I've come into a problem, because there's always a problem. It doesn't reach. So now we can switch off the electric fence via the switch when we want to, turn the light on and off by switch when we want to. And just to finish it off, I will probably put the red and the yellow wire into conduit just to protect them a little bit more, make it look a bit tidier. I think it's ostentatious, but the kittens demand their meals on gold saucers served on an antique Italian tray. So I'm back up here finally after weeks of not being able to come up here because of two reasons. Weather, there's been a lot of intermittent rain, so the roof is never really drying out, and so it's sort of dried out now. Enough that I feel safe to be back up here. But also we finally got some more tiles for the roof, and we've managed to buy 150 used tiles which match the ones on the roof below me. But 150 isn't going to do it. And we thought from our local supplier we'd be able to get several hundred, and we can't because they don't have enough. But what we hope is that the tiles that we need are actually compatible with a more modern tile which is for sale. They'll be twice the price, but it might mean that we can continue to repair the roof once we've run out of the used tiles that we've just bought. But we'll see. I've still got a lot of moss to rub off and a lot of broken tiles to replace before I get onto the part over there, which where the barn was repaired, that has, you know, a couple of hundred tiles missing. We have got a new tarpaulin that we can stretch over that part to protect it, so we should be okay. But it's a bit frustrating they didn't have all the tiles we wanted, because we thought they did. I think there are several different tiles that look the same but are different sizes, and we've fallen foul of assuming that all of the tiles were the same size. Without remembering to press record, I patched some of the larger holes and filled in part of the large gap in the roof. The tarpaulin is up, and all that remains is to weigh it down with some old tiles to keep it in place. Welcome to Jane's Find of the Day with Jane.
Hello and welcome to this week's Find of the Day at Chateau de Pican. Today I'm going to be talking about this chandelier. Until this morning, this was hanging in our kitchen from the ceiling, and it had some candles which I've taken off, but you can see that it's designed to hold candles. Each angel has got room for 3, plus there are 4 more. And if I was to have described it, I would have said it had the feel of a Christmas decoration in the angels, but obviously the previous owners had it up there permanently. I've been able to find the same chandelier online, but it's been described very differently by different people, or at least its origins. So one description said very confidently that it is of Spanish origin, and it was a chandelier originally made of forged steel in the 19th century, and these are later additions. That makes sense because they come off easily, and there's a spike underneath that could equally be a candle spike, so that makes sense. Someone else said they thought it was of Scandinavian origin, and yet a third person said it was Italian. And I think one other person said it was of German origin, which I think is probably the most likely because the owners of the chateau before us were German. And also because I've been able to find some of these angels with 2 or 3 candle holders as individual items, which you describe as a sconce, I think, so you put them on the wall, and they were described as Christmas decorations. So my money's on German. That's what I think it is. I think one of the other dates mentioned was from the 1940s. Maybe that was the German one or the Italian one. So I'm thinking they are relatively old. I could certainly believe that the underlying structure is even older. But certainly we're looking at a vintage piece.
I'd been tasked with making a fence between the 2 stable bays. The idea is to move the electric fence away from any dry hay or bedding to ensure that there is no risk of accidental combustion. This feels right. Although, hang on. Jane. Me. Feels right for me. As the sun-drenched warm autumn days were due very soon to end with a splash, I wanted to tackle the daunting task of fixing the broken tiles near the ridgeline, but it would be far more disruptive than a simple tile swap. To replace the broken tile near my knee, I first needed to remove the ridge tiles, then break off the mortar cap, trying very hard, and occasionally failing, to not break any more tiles. Once enough of the old mortar was removed, I was then able to access the broken tile, but at what cost? One broken tile, all of this mess. I've damaged 2 ridge tiles. I've broken 2 tiles. And I'm going to have to clear all this out. I score myself at best a D- for this job so far. The whole process had to be repeated further along the ridge, and my luck, or skill, hadn't improved. I managed to break another 2 tiles whilst removing the mortar cap. I then had a minor issue with a broken batten that needed to be supported. But once done, the tiles went back on neatly. Oh. Okay, so that is this roof. This tiles repaired at the top, so I just need to mix up some mortar, put the ridge tiles back on, and then worry about the barn roof another time, because I've run out of time, because this afternoon we are going horse shopping again.
Our wonderful friend Karina has a Connemara that could be perfect for us. Dizzy is very similar to, but slightly bigger than our horse Harry. With Dizzy and Harry, Rory and I will be able to ride out together for the first time, which will be amazing. As I'm more experienced than Rory and Dizzy has had a break from riding, I'm taking the lead today. So Karina, this is absolutely stunning. You've got amazing panoramic views, you've got these gorgeous ponies, and you've been breeding Connemara's for about 19 years?
Yeah, 19 years we've been breeding Connemara's, so we've got a big family. It's always difficult to let them go.
So what would you say is the best thing about a Connemara?
Well, there's lots of advantages to Connemara's. They're great all-rounders. They are suitable for adults and for children because they have good bone, they're strong, and they're kind of between, although they're called ponies, some of them are kind of big ponies, so they're between a pony and a horse. The temperaments would be one of the main reasons that people love them. They're intelligent, they're a great temperament, so they're easy to handle and easy to ride.
And they're robust as well, aren't they?
Exactly. They're what they call in French rustique, so they don't cost all that much to keep because they tend to not get injured and not have many problems. What I try and do with the ponies is also it's very difficult to know whether you are being objective about the ponies you have, so we also try and do some competitions with them, and mainly competitions to do with breeding and breeding stock. So every year we try and attend the regional championships with what we think are the best ponies. We've been very lucky with Jewel here. She's been supreme champion, and that means that she was the best of the best. They basically start off going in a class for their age. She won that, which meant she then went into the championship for the mares. So she ended up being the champion of all the mares, the senior champion. Then she would go against the boys and the girls, so the males and the females, and she was champion of all of them. So they then end up being supreme champion of all the horses at the show.
Okay, so we're hoping and thinking of buying Dizzy, as you know. Is his mum here?
So I sold Biscuit, was her name. I sold Biscuit to another breeder who was looking to start off her stud. So she went to the other breeder. I still have his father, who's Kinnard Boy, my stallion. Obviously, he's not in with the girls. So yeah, that's how Dizzy fits in.
Yeah, so he was born about 11 years ago, is that right?
Yeah.
And he's just come back, and he seems to know that he's back.
He definitely knows he's back. He was sold to some very nice people who had hoped to keep him for his whole life, but now they've actually ended up with some health problems. So that's how he's ended up coming back here, for me to try and find the right home for him.
Whilst I've done a lot of lunging of our Connemara Harry, Dizzy has been taught to respond to different actions and commands in French.
Okay, so when you're ready, ask him to walk again, and then we'll change the rein and do the same on the other rein. Opa. Good. Well, he should just... There. He read your mind.
Darting off again, Dizzy seemed to think we were asking him to play Follow My Leader, probably a result of his ethology training, which aims for the rider and horse to cooperate together. Not knowing exactly what body language he had learned previously, perhaps we were confusing him, but we got there in the end. Dizzy readily popped up into a nice trot, and later I asked him into canter. Karina's horses are largely voice trained, which must be absolutely wonderful when riding. After cantering on both reins, it was time for me to get on board. Dizzy is coming back into work after a 2-year break, so I decided to stay and walk so we could get used to each other without any pressure. Dizzy was very calm and sensible, and we were both happy and comfortable. Dizzy is an absolute pleasure, so this could be the end of our horse shopping, added to which we may be able to take Shetland Molly home as a companion.
Hello, Molly.
Hello, Molly. You're not a real horse. Look at you. You're so tiny. horse, toy horse, even bigger horses. The moment that perhaps none of you have been waiting for.
So in terms of what this might be worth, several of the descriptions were associated with adverts where the item was sold and there was no price visible. I did find, however, a few adverts for the sconces, so like the individual angels on their own, with a few candle holders. And the lowest price for one angel that I found was $125 or euros, I can't remember which. I think the highest price I saw was $375, I think that was probably dollars, for one angel. And obviously we've got 4. But most surprisingly of all, I found the entirety, so the whole ensemble, the whole chandelier, being offered for sale for, wait for it, €9,270, which is absolutely astonishing. I don't know if anyone's going to pay that, but we seem to have an item that is probably worth more than $1,000 or euros, which is amazing.
The last task of the day was to refit the ridge tiles. Losing my ridge tile virginity was as fumbly and messy as losing any other, although in this case I was worried about my cement getting hard. I misjudged the amount I'd need and had to mix up another bucket. I gave up trying to make it look the neatest job in the world. I can come back and give it a brush down later. We've just got back from going to collect some more roof tiles. Jane found some online at about, they were about half an hour's drive away, so we went to get them and we've managed to get another 75, I think. So I'm just unloading these now, and the weather has taken a turn for the worse, sadly. But I've got this hole to patch as soon as possible, and next to it is where the tarpaulin is. And of course, the more you look, the more holes or glints of light you see through the damaged tiles. I'm hoping that I'll be largely able to patch the worst of the holes, and then any more tiles we need to buy after we've used these ones, we'll be able to get and, just maintain the roof for a while. I'm hoping we're near the end of this roofing crusade, because it's driving me mad now.
Brilliant, well done. Do you think you're going to get a prize now? Do you want a prize?
If you've enjoyed our video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and giving us a like. It really does help. See you next time.